In 177 AD, a Roman senator stood in front of Marcus Aurelius and accused him publicly, in front of the entire court, of being a weak emperor. The room went silent. Everyone waited for the emperor's response. Marcus Aurelius looked at the senator. And he said nothing. Not because he had nothing to say. Because he had already decided years before that moment exactly how to respond to toxic people, narcissists, and anyone who tried to destabilize him. And in the next 15 minutes, I am going to give you the complete system he used. Not the philosophy. Not the theory. The exact words. The exact steps. The exact mental framework that made Marcus Aurelius completely untouchable for 20 years as the most powerful man on earth. This is the most complete guide to dealing with toxic people that Stoic philosophy has ever produced. Stay with me. Every minute of this video matters. Welcome to Memento Sapiens, ancient wisdom for the modern mind. Today we go deeper than we have ever gone before on the topic that matters most to almost everyone watching this. Toxic people. Not a 3-minute short. Not a list of tips. A complete, precise, battle-tested system developed by a man who dealt with toxic senators, manipulative generals, jealous advisors, and backstabbing family members every single day for 2 decades. Marcus Aurelius did not just survive toxic people. He mastered the art of remaining completely unaffected by them. And he left us the exact blueprint in his meditations. Here it is, in full. Part 1. Why toxic people affect you, the real reason nobody talks about. Before we can deal with toxic people, we need to understand exactly why they have power over us in the first place. Marcus Aurelius identified 3 types of toxic people and 3 corresponding weaknesses in us that they exploit. Type 1, the critic. The person who constantly finds fault, dismisses your ideas, and makes you feel small. They exploit one specific weakness, your need for approval. As long as you need someone to validate your worth, the critic has unlimited power over you. Type 2, the manipulator. The person who twists reality, plays the victim, shifts blame, and makes you question your own perceptions, what modern psychology calls gaslighting. They exploit one specific weakness, your desire to be fair. You keep trying to understand their point of view, to give them the benefit of the doubt, and they use that fairness against you endlessly. Type 3, the energy drainer. The person who brings chaos, crisis, and negativity into every interaction. They always have a problem, always need something, always leave you exhausted. They exploit one specific weakness, your guilt. The moment you feel guilty for not helping, for saying no, for putting yourself first, they have you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He was saying this, the toxic person is not your problem. Your unexplored weakness is. And here is the most important insight in this entire video: once you identify which weakness a toxic person is exploiting, you have already taken 80% of their power away. Because what is named can be managed. Let me say that again. The moment you can say, "This person is exploiting my need for approval," you are no longer inside the emotion. You are observing it. And what you can observe, you can choose. That is the foundation of everything Marcus Aurelius built. Part 2. Marcus Aurelius' 3-level response system in exact order. Marcus Aurelius did not have one response to toxic behavior. He had 3 used in precise sequence depending on the severity of the situation. Level 1, the philosophical pause. This was his first and most important tool. Before responding to anything toxic, he would pause physically, mentally, and ask himself one question. Is what this person is doing within my control? If a senator criticized his decision, no. The senator's words were not within his control. Only his response was. This question, practiced thousands of times until it became automatic, created a gap between stimulus and response. And in that gap lived his freedom. He wrote in Meditations, between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. The philosophical pause is not hesitation. It is the most powerful action available to you. Practice this today. The next time someone says something that triggers you, before you react, ask yourself, is this within my control? 3 seconds. That is all it takes. Level 2, the compassionate reframe. When the philosophical pause revealed that the toxic behavior was not within his control, Marcus Aurelius would move to level 2, a complete mental reframe of the person in front of him. He wrote, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous and surly. They are this way because they cannot tell good from evil. Notice what he does not say. He does not say they are evil. He does not say they are your enemies. He says they cannot tell good from evil. In other words, they are confused. They are suffering. They are operating from a level of awareness that simply does not yet allow them to behave differently. The narcissist who belittles you is not powerful. They are terrified. The gaslighter who distorts your reality is not clever. They are desperate. The energy vampire who drains you is not manipulative by choice. They are drowning. When you see a drowning person pulling you under, you do not take it personally. You recognize the drowning. And you make a decision about how close you are willing to get. That is level 2. Level 3, the strategic boundary. This is where most people get it wrong. They think boundaries are about confrontation. About saying no loudly, about cutting people off dramatically, about making a statement. Marcus Aurelius never made statements. He made decisions. He wrote, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. A boundary, in Stoic terms, is not a speech. It is a behavior change. You stop attending the meetings that drain you without explanation. You stop engaging in arguments that go nowhere without announcement. You limit the access a toxic person has to your time and energy quietly, consistently, permanently. The Stoic boundary is invisible. And it is the most powerful kind. Because when you announce a boundary, you invite negotiation. When you simply live differently, there is nothing to negotiate. Part 3. The exact words Marcus Aurelius used and how to use them today. This is what most videos on Stoicism and toxic people never give you. The exact language. The specific phrases. The words that work. Marcus Aurelius left us several precise formulations in his meditations that he used internally, silently, in the moment, when dealing with toxic behavior. Here they are. Phrase 1, when someone criticizes or attacks you. This person is doing the best they can with the understanding they currently have. You do not say this out loud. You say it inside, the moment the attack lands. It does not mean you agree with them. It does not mean their behavior is acceptable. It means you have removed their ability to destabilize you by understanding their limitation. Phrase 2, when someone tries to make you feel guilty or manipulates you. What this person needs from me to feel powerful is something I do not have to give. Again, silent. Internal. Immediate. The moment you name what they need, the power dynamic shifts completely. You have identified the game. And once you see the game, you are already outside it. Phrase 3, when someone's behavior genuinely wounds you and you feel the anger rising. This feeling is mine. It does not belong to them. I will not let it make my decisions. Marcus Aurelius was not emotionless. He felt anger, frustration, hurt. The Meditations are full of moments where he acknowledges the emotion completely. The difference was this: he owned the emotion. He did not let the emotion own him. Owning an emotion means, I feel this. I name it. I choose what to do next. Being owned by an emotion means, I feel this. And now it decides everything. Phrase 4, when you must interact with someone toxic repeatedly and you cannot remove them from your life. I will be present for this interaction. I will give what is necessary. And I will return to myself immediately after. This phrase, used before walking into a difficult meeting, a family dinner, a conversation you dread, creates what the Stoics called a mental container. The interaction happens inside the container. And when it ends, you step outside. Clean. Intact. These 4 phrases, practiced daily, in real situations, over weeks, become automatic. And when they become automatic, toxic people lose their power completely. Not because they change. Because you have. Part 4. 5 real scenarios, and exactly what Marcus Aurelius would do. Let us make this completely practical. Scenario 1, the toxic coworker who takes credit for your work. What most people do: get angry, complain to others, confront them emotionally. What Marcus Aurelius would do: recognize that their need to steal credit reveals an insecurity you do not share. Document your work quietly. Let your results speak. Use phrase 1 internally every time they do it. Never give them the emotional reaction they need to feel powerful. His principle: if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Scenario 2, the narcissistic family member who makes every gathering about their pain. What most people do: try to fix them, avoid all family events, or explode eventually. What Marcus Aurelius would do: decide in advance exactly how much energy he was willing to give, not how much was needed, but how much he could give without losing himself. Arrive with that limit already set. Use phrase 4 before walking in. Leave the moment the limit was reached gracefully, without drama. His principle: never esteem anything as of advantage to you that will make you break your word or lose your self-respect. Scenario 3, the friend who constantly gaslights you and makes you doubt your reality. What most people do: endlessly try to prove their version of events. Get pulled into circular arguments. Question themselves. What Marcus Aurelius would do: stop arguing entirely. Not because he was wrong, but because the argument was the trap. The gaslighter wins when you engage. They lose the moment you disengage completely. Use phrase 2 internally. Then reduce access. Quietly. Permanently. His principle: the first rule is to keep an untroubled spirit. The second is to look things in the face and know them for what they are. Scenario 4, the manager or boss who uses fear and humiliation to control you. What most people do: endure it, become smaller, or react emotionally, which makes it worse. What Marcus Aurelius would do: separate his identity completely from their evaluation of him. Their opinion of his performance is data. It is not truth. It is not his worth. Use phrase 1. Do the work with excellence regardless. And simultaneously build the next door, quietly, without announcement. His principle: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Scenario 5, the partner or ex who manipulates through guilt and emotional withdrawal. This is the most painful scenario. And Marcus Aurelius addressed it most directly. He wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so only with all your heart." The Stoic position is this: love fully. And love with clear eyes. Love does not require you to be destroyed by it. You can love someone and still protect yourself. You can care deeply and still have a line they cannot cross. The moment caring for someone requires the abandonment of yourself, the Stoics would say that is not love. That is a transaction you never agreed to. Part 5. The final truth about toxic people and why it changes everything. We have covered the types, the system, the exact words, the scenarios. But Marcus Aurelius saved his most important observation about toxic people for last. And it is not what you expect. He wrote, in the final pages of his Meditations, how much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it. He was not talking about the toxic person. He was talking about what happens to us when we let them live inside our minds. The betrayal lasts 10 seconds. The replaying of it lasts 10 years. The criticism lands in 30 seconds. The damage from our reaction to it lasts a lifetime. The toxic encounter ends when you leave the room. The toxicity continues as long as you keep thinking about it. Marcus Aurelius dealt with people who tried to poison him, who betrayed his trust, who undermined his empire. And his final conclusion, after 20 years, was not about how to defeat them. It was about how not to become them. He wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." For words that contain everything. Every time you stay angry at a toxic person, you are giving them a rent-free room in your mind. Every time you replay what they did, you are doing their work for them. Every time you become bitter, closed, distrustful because of them, they have won something far more valuable than any argument. The complete Stoic system for toxic people ends here. Not with victory over them. With freedom from them. Permanent. Complete. Unshakable. The complete Marcus Aurelius system for toxic people in full. 3 types of toxic people, 3 weaknesses they exploit. Name the weakness and you remove 80% of their power. 3 levels of response, the philosophical pause, the compassionate reframe, the strategic boundary. For exact phrases, use them silently, in the moment, every time. 5 real scenarios, with exact Stoic responses for each. And the final truth, the goal is not victory over them. It is freedom from them. Marcus Aurelius spent 20 years surrounded by people who wanted to destroy him. He emerged as one of the wisest, most compassionate, and most respected human beings who ever lived. Not despite the toxic people. Because of what dealing with them forced him to become. Every difficult person in your life is an invitation to discover exactly where you are still incomplete. And to build something stronger in that place. That is the Stoic way. Not to avoid the fire. To become unburnable. If this video gave you something real, share it with someone who is dealing with a toxic person right now. It might be exactly what they need today. Subscribe to Memento Sapiens. Every week, we go deeper. And if you want to continue, the next video is already waiting for you. Remember to be wise. Memento Sapiens.